Just an observation and then a question. The observation is maybe one thing we can agree on here is that energy research is a good thing. I mean, it's hard to think of, well, this is an overstatement, it's hard to think of an important technological advantage over the last number of years that hasn't had some government research. And as the earlier discussion went back and forth with the unconventional gas, clearly the Department of Energy demonstration project, maybe even the tax credit, Sandia Laboratories' work on 3D mapping, all of that was essential. But I keep thinking that maybe we actually have an energy policy in the United States and don't know it, and it boils down to government-sponsored research, private ownership of property, entrepreneurial attitude, big market, and free market. And that all of those things have suddenly given us what amounts to a terrific advantage in energy. I was in Germany recently, and they've got a big, complicated cap and trade. They're closing their nuclear plants. They're buying nuclear power from France. They're subsidizing Chinese solar panels, and they're buying coal from the United States. So we've ended up with a pretty sensible policy. And the one thing it would seem to me that would encourage that would be doubling the amount of federal dollars we spend on research for such things as what do we do with CO2 from coal plants, how do we get a better battery, that's been mentioned by several people in terms of storage, et cetera. Now here's my question. Do we really have a problem here? And I have three images in my mind. One is this weekend I went quail hunting in South Texas, and we didn't find any quail because of the drought, but what we found, I hadn't been there in 3 years in that section, we were in the midst of the Eagle Shale, and there were 5 motels where there was one. There were oil rigs everywhere. There were new networks of roads. There were big lakes. There were big trucks going back and forth. I mean, it's an astonishing thing. Gas flares everywhere. So it's easy to see the great production value and the dollars that come in North Dakota, south of Texas, and our economy from this production. Now, that's one image. The second image is Australia last year, where they're selling their gas to Asia at 5 times our price. And not only are they selling it to Asia at 5 times our price, they're paying 5 times our price for their own gas because they're paying the world price for natural gas. And I think back to Tennessee about the number of workers at Eastman Chemical, about the farmers we have, about the auto jobs we have, about the truckers we have. And I see the enormous, incredible advantage the United States has at the moment from having a domestic price in natural gas. It's really a godsend, and it's very unusual. And I think our policy got us there, but I think we should examine it very, very carefully, which is what we're doing today. I suspect it's a much bigger source of jobs than the production value of oil and gas is in the United States. The production value of all the farmers, all the chemical companies, all the manufacturers in our state is a huge advantage. And then the third image I have is the United States going into Iraq because of oil and because Iraq had gone into Kuwait. And there we are. So while I'm a big free market, free enterprise person, I also see the value of the domestic price. I don't want to lose that. And I also see the national security consequences of this. So my question is, though, do we really have a problem? One witness said that we might not export more than 5 or 6 BCF. That's about 10% of what we produce today, if I'm correct. Is that about right? And at what point, at what percentage of exports, and let me just go down the line and ask this question. If we don't have time today to do it, maybe you could write me. The question has an A and a B part. A, at what point, what percentage of exports do we begin to lose the domestic price advantage of natural gas that we have today? And number two, under present policies, if you had to make a guess, what would be the range of the percent of our natural gas production that we'd be exporting in 10 years?
I can't help but pass up the comment on my home country of Australia, who's desperately got it wrong. Okay, it's one of the only gas-rich countries in the world that, in fact, has the phenomena you just talked about. So one sector exports from the northwest of Australia, The oil price bleeds back into the southeast corner of Australia. Manufacturing is collapsed, and the two of the 5 most expensive cities in the world are Sydney and Melbourne. The retail prices are through the roof. So if you want to poster child for getting it wrong, and this may cause me never to get back to my home country, but I'm going to say it, my home country is the poster child. So the questions, is there a number? It's unknowable, unforecastable, which is why I believe the process has to work with the public interest as its lens. And every single one of these applications, as you build up these terminals from 1 to 2 to 3, from 2 billion BCF to 3 to 4 to 5, the market will send a signal. I'm a free marketer, but the market sends signals like it did in 0102. When the market read there wasn't enough gas to meet current demand, the price went through the roof. And Eastman and other companies like Eastman suffered the consequences. So we've got to be careful. The market will work, but don't just flood the market with one answer. It's not an either or. Don't do 12 BCF, don't do 20 BCF. Senator, I can't give you the exact number. I'm not that smart. All I can tell you is this is not an open market. As I said, LNG, you have to work hard to make LNG work. So I would think that as these terminals get built, we'll get the benefit of job creation upstream and job creation downstream. And I already indicated that's a 5 times multiple. We can get the farmers to win, we can get the Eastmans to win, we can get the consumer to win, and we can have exports.
Thank you, Senator Alexander. Senator Heinrich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And
Mr. Chairman, could I ask that the witnesses answer that question in writing after the hearing?
Yes, that'd be
Thank you.
great. Thank you, Senator Heinrich.